Hi everyone, I'm Linda Reimer, one of the librarians at the Southeast Bend County Library. Welcome to Library Connections, our weekly readers and listeners advisory video cast. Enjoy. Library Connections number 121. This is the Friday, November 4th, 2022 edition of Library Connections. Jumping right in with the top 5 fiction bestsellers for this week from the New York Times. At number 1, It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. In the sequel to It Ends With Us, Lily deals with her jealous ex-husband as she reconnects with her first boyfriend. At number 2, No Plan B by Lee Child and Andrew Child, the 27th book in the Jack Reacher series. Reacher goes after a killer, but is unaware of the bigger implications. At number 3, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. A battered wife, raised in a violent home, attempts to halt the cycle of abuse. At number 4, The Boys from Biloxi by John Grisham. Two childhood friends follow in their father's footsteps, which puts them on opposite sides of the law. And at number 5, Verity by Colleen Hoover. Loan Ashley is hired by the husband of an injured writer to complete her popular series, and she uncovers a horrifying truth. Moving on to the top 5 nonfiction bestsellers for this week. At number 1, Radio's Greatest of All Time by Rush Limbaugh, with Catherine Adams Limbaugh and David Limbaugh. A collection of the late conservative commentator's on-air moments with memories from his widow and brother. At number 2, I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. The actress and filmmaker describes her eating disorders and difficult relationship with her mother. At number 3, And There Was Light by John Meacham. The Pulitzer Prize-winning biographer portrays the life of Abraham Lincoln. At number 4, Waypoints by Sam Heughan. The Scottish actor travels along West Highland Way to connect with moments that shaped his views. And at number 5, The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. How trauma affects the body and mind, and innovative treatments for recovery. Our first recommended read for this week is the new novel, Daughters of the New Year by E.M. Tran. What does the future hold for those born in the years of the dragon, tiger, and goat? In present-day New Orleans, Sean Trung, former beauty queen turned refugee after the fall of Saigon, is obsessed with divining her daughter's fates through their Vietnamese zodiac signs. But Track, Nye, and True diverge completely from their immigrant parents' expectations. Successful lawyer Track hides her sexuality from her family. Nye competes as the only woman of color on a Bacheloresque reality TV show, and True, a budding writer, is determined to learn more about her familial and cultural past. As the three sisters begin to encounter strange glimpses of long-buried secrets from the ancestors they never knew, the story of the Trung women unfurls to reveal the dramatic events that brought them to America. Moving backwards in time, E.M. Tran takes us into the high school classrooms of New Orleans, to Saigon beauty pageants, to 20th century rubber plantations, traversing a century as the Trungs are both estranged and united by the ghost of their tumultuous history. A haunted story of resilience and survival, Daughters of the New Year is an addictive, high-wire act of storytelling that illuminates an entire lineage of extraordinary women fighting to reclaim the power they've been stripped of for centuries. And that one's definitely going on my reading list. So many books, so little time, but I'll find time for that one. Moving on to our second recommended read for this week, it's the new Joanna Quinn novel, The Whalebone Theatre. The emotional upheaval of the interwar years in England is dramatized afresh in Quinn's dazzling and imaginative debut. Christabel Seagrave's mother dies in childbirth, and Christabel's father, Jasper, who remarries when she is 3, dies soon after. This leaves Christabel to be raised by her disinterested stepmother Rosalind, who then marries Christabel's aviation-obsessed uncle Willoughby, Jasper's brother. In 1928, when Christabel is 12, she discovers a dead whale washed up on the beach adjoining the decaying Seagrave estate. She turns the whale's ribcage into an outdoor theater, where she ambitiously stages the Iliad and the Tempest with the help of her half-sister Flossie, cousin Digby, loyal kitchen maid Maud, and Taras Kowalski, a Russian artist. 14 years later, Christabel and Digby's experiences at play acting will come in handy when they are both parachuted into France on separate espionage missions to help the resistance during World War II. But will they survive to see the renaissance of the Whalebone Theatre? Thorny, idiosyncratic Christabel is a formidable first among equals in this expansive cast of memorable eccentrics. Peacetime whimsy gracefully segues into scenes of unbearable tension and heart-wrenching suspense as Christabel boldly infiltrates Paris on the eve of its liberation. Combining elements of I Capture the Castle, Brideshead Revisited, and Charlotte Gray, this is a reading experience to be long cherished. And that's the Starred Publishers Weekly Review. And another book from my reading list. And hopefully yours too. Moving on to our first audiobook recommendation for this week, it's the novel Exalted by Anna Dorn. The audio is read by Tara Marie Kirk. Dorn returns with a hilarious and surprising chronicle of astrology packed with sharp cultural commentary. Dawn, a recently dumped Leo with a drinking problem and a penchant for arson, alternates between quoting her court-appointed therapist and astrology memes from @Exalted, her favorite Instagram account. The page is run by Emily, a Scorpio and failed actor who spends her afternoons at the Burlesque Club and tries to do enough online chart readings to scrape together the rent. When Emily receives a request for a reading from a man named Bo Rubidex, she is shocked to find that his astrological placements are exalted. Astrology speak for ideal. Despite the fact that Emily believes astrology is a scam, yet still divine, which you can blame on her Gemini sign, she becomes convinced Bo is the love of her life. Meanwhile, Dawn drinks too much, overstays her welcome at various gay bars and friends' houses, and keeps tabs on Ad Exalted. Told from the alternating perspectives of Dawn and Emily, this salacious trip barrels through Southern California as the two women's startling connection is finally revealed. The narrative conveys a deep knowledge of astrology, which the characters skewer with sharp-witted observations. Compulsively readable, this consistently shocks and delights. And that's the Starred Publishers Weekly Review. Moving on to our second audiobook recommendation for this week. This one's a light romance. It's called Mad About You by Mahari McFarlane. The audio is read by Heather Long. McFarlane delivers a well-developed work of women's fiction with a romantic end cap. Wedding planner Harriet Hatley is adrift. Her two closest friends are her only family, and her current relationship is more comfortable than passionate. When her boyfriend stages a public proposal, despite Harriet's frequent avows that she's not interested in marriage, it's a clear sign that their relationship is not working. She needs to move out and move on. She finds a flatmate in her polar opposite, the handsome and recently heartbroken Cal Clark. What follows is the story of a woman reviewing her romantic history and learning that confronting her past is the best way to build a happy future. The romance that slowly emerges between Harriet and Cal takes a backseat to Harriet's personal growth. Still, McFarlane's dry wit and Britishism-laden prose will appeal to her many fans and her heroine charms. Readers who don't mind the minimal focus on the love connection will be enchanted. And that's the Publishers Weekly Review. Want more reading, listening, and viewing recommendations? Check out the Tech and Book Talk blog, which offers weekly and monthly recommendations, and the back catalog of Library Connections videos found on the Southeast of Bend County Library's YouTube channel. Moving on to our next section, Next Week at the Library, offering a brief look at the events and activities hosted by the library for the week ahead of us. This time around, that's the week of November 7th through the 12th, 2022. This information can also be found online. Just visit the library's website located at ssclibrary.org and click on the big bold calendar link you'll see near the top of the page. And on a registration note, registration is required for programs unless otherwise specified, or unless the program is of the online on-demand variety, in which case, of course, help yourself. You can register for programs through the library's website, by calling the library, or just plain dropping by. On Monday, November 7th, we have no events or activities in Library Land. Happy reading! On Tuesday, November 8th, which is also Election Day this year, we have a whole host of programs at the library, starting things off with Adult Scrabble from 9 to 11 a.m. This program is held in the library's reading room. Then from 9:15 to 10:15 a.m. we have Coffee, Tea, and English Vocabulary. This is one of the programs for adult learners of English. This is a hybrid program, being held both in person at the library and via Zoom. You have to register, of course, to get the Zoom link. At 10 o'clock, we've got Story Time with Miss Sue, which is being held in the Children's Department on the second floor of the library. That's a half-hour program. Then from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m., we've got Coffee, Tea, and English Conversation. Again, a hybrid program being held both in person and via Zoom. We have one afternoon and one evening program on Tuesday, November 8th. Our afternoon program is Gatless, Gay at the Library After School. It runs from 3 to 4:30 p.m. This is a partnership program. The library is partnering with Planned Parenthood of Greater New York for this series, and your host will be Carmen Greco. This program and series offers a safe and supportive space for youth to talk about gender, sexuality, and what's going on in their lives. It's open to anyone ages 11 through 18, which is grades 6 through 12, and you could come any Tuesday or as many Tuesdays as you'd like. Then in the evening, from 6 to 7 p.m., it's the October Junior Chef Drive-By Pickup. This program is full, and if you're not familiar with it, what it is that you register for the program, you drive by the library and get your creation kit, and then there's an online component where a staff member shows you how to make whatever the recipe of the month is. And this month they're making Rice Krispie Pumpkins. And as I said, the program is full, so if you've got youth that like to cook at your house, you want to look at the calendar going forward and register for the next Junior Chef program ASAP. And if you've already registered for this one, just a reminder, the pickup is this next Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. On Tuesday, November 9th, we've got Miss Sue's Preschool Storytime, which runs from 10 to 10:30 a.m. and will be held in the children's section at the library. Then from 1 to 3 p.m., it's the weekly Mahjong session, which will be held in the library's reading room. From 3 to 4:30 p.m., we have Atlas Face Painting, and Atlas stands for At the Library After School. So this is for youth. Registration is not required for this program. Just show up and we'll be doing some face painting. Then from 6 to 8 p.m., it's the weekly Corning Adult Writers Group, which is a hybrid program held both in person at the library and via Zoom. Moving on to Thursday, November 10th, we've got one program at the library. It's Coffee, Tea, and English Book Club from 10 to 11:30 a.m. This is a hybrid program which is held both at the library in person and via Zoom. Moving on to Friday, November 11th, our first program, which runs from 11 to 12:30, that's 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., of course, has quite the mouthful of a title. Let me see if I can say it without tripping over it. It's the Kids Explore Homeschool Group Park Meetup and Play. Maple Shade Park in Big Flats is the location. And if you have questions about this program, you contact our head honcho of children's programming at the library, Sue McConnell. From 1 to 1:30 p.m., it's the debut of the new Library Connections video, and you can access that via Facebook or YouTube. Then from 3 to 4 p.m., we have the monthly book club for adults, aka the Adult Book Club, but it's not the racy kind. Our November read is The Last Chance Library by Freya Sampson, and the program will be held in the library's conference room. Then from 4 to 6:30 p.m., we've got Teen Dungeons and Dragons, which is a program held at the library and led by Dungeon Master Jason. This gathering is suitable for ages 13 through 17, and you're welcome to come to one session or all of them. And that's the program for this week. I'll be back next week with a new edition of Library Connections. Have a great week.